Get your motor running, head out on the highway, honk honk homies, we are on the road to SpiceWorld. I'm Jeff Gredler, head brand ambassador of SpiceWorks, and we are in the shadow of the AT&T Hotel and Conference Center, where in exactly 34 days, the most kick-ass tech conference will be taking place, SpiceWorld. And you know, we're doing this series to kind of get you a little bit hyped. This is our pre-game series, and here's a nice surprise for you. We're going to be live every Friday until SpiceWorld to get you hyped for the biggest event. So I can't do this alone. We thought, let's get a special guest. We always have a special guest. We've had Mike from Eaton. We'd have Slava, everybody's favorite swag lord and Spice Buddy. But today, we're going a little bit different. We have our Khaleesi of IT. She is the mother of SpiceWorld. She was there at the genesis of SpiceWorld and said, let there be Spice Light. Please welcome the SpiceTherapist, Jen Slaski. What's up, Jen? How are you?
I am awesome. It's so fun to be here.
Yes, and
always.
You can always tell we're live because I'll always have some kind of notification that's going to go ahead and try to throw me off my vibe, but we're not going to let it. So, but Jen, this is
keep rolling.
This is a big one. So, this is your welcome back to SpiceWorld. So I have to ask you, we talked about this. We did a great video back in May during, Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is airing on Mental Health Awareness Day.
World Mental Health Awareness Day,
That's right. And it was a great video. Check it out. It's still on our YouTube page and the SpiceWorks event page. But I just got to ask you, how does it feel to come back? Are you going to have the song I'm Coming Home in your head? Like, how do you feel? What do you feel right now, 34 days away from the big day?
Literally, like, my heart is kind of beaming. I'm just excited. It's just, even just thinking about it, like, I need to confess, like, I know this time of year, at least in the States, is always referred to as pumpkin spice season. And
right.
For me, the thing that's strange is before that was even a thing, it's always when SpiceWorld happens. So first and foremost, it's always SpiceWorld season to me. So all of those things that go along with the autumn and the crispness and whatnot, like, I associate that with SpiceWorld. But I need to be honest, I'm super excited that coming into SpiceWorld, I don't have all of the anxiety that I usually had, which really was like on my amazing team because they did it all. But there is still just this residual adrenaline that is in me, and that just gets my heart just beating and smiling at this time of year. So to actually be able to be there, I feel a little bit like I'm getting to go on holiday or something, and this like kind of my own version of like Disney World as an adult.
I love it. I was just telling you, it's funny how falling feels like flying for a little while. That is the SpiceWorld event planning, how it goes, and having you there makes it definitely feel a little bit like you give it a little bit of little more solidity for me, like a little more foundation that Jen's there. And to have you on the big stage, like we were originally talking about having you as a breakout, now you're going to be on the big stage.
Full circle.
But I can't think of a better person to be up there and just to kind of greet everybody in the way of just like, how are you guys feeling after 18 SpiceWorld events? We're on the road to 20. We are so close. We are so close. But getting there on the road to 20, I had to ask you, because you were there for the genesis of the very first one at the Alamo Drafthouse, South Lamar. Like, how did that genesis of that event even happen? Like, what was the spark?
Yeah. So it was 2008, and I'd been with SpiceWorks since 2006. And some people still know little known fact, like, before I joined SpiceWorks, was looking to get out of tech because I'm not, dirty little secret, actually tech forward. I'm typically the laggard. I like to keep life very simple. If you ask anybody that tries, I am nobody's emergency contact in their phone because me seeing text reliably is like about as good of a bet as assuming it's not going to rain on the day that it can't rain. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good analogy, but and so I joined the team because I loved the co-founders, and Tabrez, the first employee, was a dear friend of mine. And so I started doing some freelance work for them. And then I just got the bug because I was in this role where I got to go out and talk to IT pros. And how that happened is because I didn't know any of the tech stuff. So I was like, well, I have to go just meet them. If I can just go meet them and see where the magic is happening. I'll get a better sense of what's going on. And that's really what planted the spark in me initially, was that personal interaction with them in their offices. And I would actually take some of the employees. We had this early thing in the first couple of years called the Freedom Trail, where we took all employees to go meet with an IT pro, because they weren't called Spice Heads then. And that was really the first like connection point. Well, then as the years went on, the community was actually, little known fact, originally only created because SpiceWorks did not want to have product marketers. They wanted to use the community as a forum to just give them feedback on the product and for support. They were hoping that that would be a way to scale support so they could help each other. But what ended up happening is we started to notice people were starting to joke around or help each other or just do these very human things online that, to me, I love, because I'm all about the human. And then the more that I noticed that, and I even would get more comfortable posting in the community, because as someone that didn't have a lot of technical things to say, I was like, well, they're going to totally shun me. They're going to be like, why is the marketing chick here? She has nothing to contribute. But then I found that when I would post about different things that we were doing, or we might be having a webinar or a contest, people were just very kind and receptive. And I started to get more comfortable, and it just felt a lot more social and inviting. And I just realized, wait, they're becoming friends. There's people in here that really, so like, let's bring them together. And there was this notion, what I wanted to do is what was happening in the community online, I wanted to bring it to life offline. And that was really the first inspiration for SpiceWorld. And that was my pitch to a bunch of introverts. So it was a lot of a sell.
And it does. The funny thing about, if you've ever been to SpiceWorld, it is a group of introverts being so social. There is no, and if they are any people that are feeling a little bit more reserved, there are a bunch of other support spice buddies, if you will, that are actually pulling that out of them. Did you always notice that with community? Because this becomes the community in real life event, right? Whether it's our vendors or IT pros. I always love the support that it gives you. Like, hey, if you're new or you're not sure where to go, they are automatically welcomed and taken along for the ride. Has it always been that, or did it eventually evolve into that?
It was always that. And I think that the key is I knew, again, and this was mine to completely fall on my face and flub out and to prove, everybody right, that said they're introverts. They're not going to want to come and be in person. They're not going to want to hang out. Like, they just want to get their job done. And I was like, well, but we always talked at SpiceWorld, like, let's make it fun. It was about spicing it up. So I just always knew. I just believe in the magic of human connection. And I just don't think it's ever going to go out of style. I don't think AI is ever truly going to replace it. And so that first year, it was about making sure that there was content that would help them use the product better. It was very focused, on the app at that time and the community and how to get the most out of it. But then we also invited sponsors, vendors to come and give practical talks. They couldn't sell. That was always a rule. And then I also invited some Spice Heads that were active in the community and said, would you like to do a session? And they would do some best practices, or some of them would just be funny. But because I had zero budget, I did have some budget, a little bit, but not that much. We just had to be scrappy. And so I had to tap all of the employees to have a job, like to the point knowing about the introverts. I had a designated team of people that their job was greeters. And that was literally their only job, was to be placed and as people walk, to make them feel welcome and to be on the lookout to see if somebody seemed, I would say lost, except the Alamo Draft House was like so small that it would be impossible to get lost in it. But really, it was just that. It was just almost like we were hosting them at a reunion or into our hometown. And there was a lot of intentionality around that. But like, to be honest, that's not necessarily what allowed that vibe to happen. That's just who we were. Like, culturally, those are the types of people that SpiceWorks hired. And we always knew that, like, how the people we hired, that created the culture. But I always believe that our culture translated directly into the brand experience. Yeah. And so that was really true at SpiceWorld as well. And so all that to say, even though I had the foresight perhaps to have a committee of greeters, everybody did that pretty naturally themselves anyway. Like spice workers would see somebody and they would naturally go out, or they'd introduce themselves or ask how they could help. And it didn't need to be necessarily as contrived as I ended up making it with the greeting committee.
Yeah, and that's still a thing, right? I was going through the volunteer list today, and we have to section them off, and graders is still there, and that's always been one of the like the first thing a lot of people
Cool.
everybody experiences. That first thing is they'd walk in and they'd see Sammy from the community, or they'd see Cackler holding up her
Ah,
big sign. Like that's still a thing, and it's just like you see people converging pre-event before they even step foot in there to make them feel
yeah.
welcome. That if you feel lost or overwhelmed, if you're coming in from out of town, I think that kind of was the genesis of the Spice Buddies, of just like, those are the graders that are going to make sure that you are taken care of and have all the insides and outs. So it is cool how this kind of evolved. When you're telling me that, I was thinking for the kids at home, they used to have these things called sitcoms, right? And the sitcoms is the first couple of seasons, they were always working the kinks out. And then by season 3, you
Oh, yeah.
always feel like these characters are part of your family, like part of your home, because they come into your home every week. And that's what Spice World turns into. It is an annual reunion of friends that you get to talk to every day, but now you get to see them in person. And that energy is infectious.
It is. And I think that you hitting on what you did, the family reunion, from year one, when we got feedback, that's not even what we called it. That's what the IT pros called it. And I can remember I mentioned this in the community. The first year of surveys, I did paper surveys. I did paper surveys. I mandated paper surveys until I left in 2016, which I knew killed a lot of people. But there is a lot richer feedback you get with those old school paper surveys, and more people take them than, with the online. But that first year, I was over the moon at the comments, and people said that they said, wow, this was felt like a family reunion, or it felt like going to like just like an alumni picnic with some of my best friends. And like you said, the energy was infectious. And what I loved so much about it is in that feedback and in the words that we heard, there was so much heart and soul and energy and just all of this right brain, good old fashioned feeling. And so when I went back to the co-founders and the early, and I didn't need to tell them at that point, because they felt it too. And they had experienced it too. And they, like, the emotion that came out of everybody that was even at SpiceWorks at the time, I think it surprised us on both ends. But it's just, it's so rewarding to know that that magic is still happening, even as it's gotten bigger and over the years and changes, throughout the company, throughout the world. It just, I think, is a testament to human connection.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we're going to get a little bit into that. But you're right. I remember my first Spice World was 2011. So I missed the Alamo years, right? Because we had the Alamo years, the AT&T Part 1 years, the ACC years, and now we're in the AT&T Part 2 years. Well, my first, foray into it was back in 2011 at AT&T. And after that, I've already been in IT, for almost 8 years. I was very shocked at this type of event that this really was, to the point where it's just like, wait, what are we doing here again? I remember that first one. I was only there a couple months, and I was just blown away of this, because we've been to the boring tech conferences, with all the blue and stuff, and
Right.
Spice
So
World.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to reverse roles here. So
Go
put you
for
on
it.
the spot. Here's some of the things that you remember from that year that you were like, what the what? What? This is a
Yeah.
tech.
The biggest thing that I remember is just like, I was like, there's no way all these people know each other. Like, how do they all know? Like, because we had the orange shirts, so you knew the Spice workers knew each other, but there was all these other people. And, Sean always brings up this picture to the point where you couldn't tell who was who. Wait, it's like, wait, do you work for SpiceWorks? Like, no, I'm just a vendor, or I'm just, I'm one of the IT pros in the community. I'm like, well, how did you know so much about SpiceWorks then? Like, that they almost took it on that they have a seat at the table, like this is their community. And that was one of the biggest things that got me. Is just like, wow, you walk in and it feels like everybody knows each other. But I didn't feel out of place that I didn't know anybody yet. But I was already getting pulled into what this community was. Like, I remember getting the introduction in the community itself. Nick at the time, the community manager, wrote it up, and then he's just like, and he put 3 fun facts. So then people would start like, oh, you do this and you do that. Like they come in and like, wow, how do you already know who I am? It was very overwhelming in a good way. That it felt like a lot of the ice breaking was put out of the way, right? Because they already felt like they knew the gaps were already filled in for them. So that was very, very cool, and nothing I've ever experienced to this day at other conferences.
Well, I need to give a shout out to SpiceWorks' first CEO and co-founder Scott Abel, because one of a bajillion things that I could say that he made sure happened, that he really cared about, was every year he told my team, I don't care how hard it is, you need to get their community avatar on their badges, because that is their identity. And it was not easy. And again, had no budget, was dealing with printers, and it would be like one of those things where I'd be like, that's a nice touch and all. We'll get to that. And then it would be like just a couple weeks before, and you're checking off the list of all the details, and you haven't slept, and you look at that and it's like, okay, I'm sure we'll be fine without that. They'll understand. And he was maniacal, and he'd be like, absolutely not. Like, figure out how to make it happen. To the point, it would be like he would give us more budget to get this special printer in town to do like, I don't even know, I have no idea what the technical way they made that happen. But I do remember that back in the day, it was difficult to do. But to then be at registration and see the look on people's faces when they got their name badges and would be like, wow, that's me. Or to see how frustrated they would be if for whatever reason we got their pepper level wrong. Like there was like, whoo. And like Scott was like, if you get that pepper level wrong, you will pull them aside. And we had to go down to Kinko's, and we would have a designer. I mean, this is how serious, especially he was, about celebrating them and who they were in the community. And all that to say, as hard as that was to make that happen, believe it or not, I saw what a difference it made. And that, I think, spoke volumes about how at home we wanted people to feel, how seen, how celebrated and valued, and how much it meant to us that they could take the connections they built online and then continue them and deepen them, those relationships, and just that fun and that camaraderie and the spirit in person in Austin. And so I love that you experienced that right away.
I did.
Because there was a lot of hard work that went in.
Well, I felt it. And it's funny you bring up the printers, because I mean, my IT life, I remember specifically working with those very specific printers and those very specific Macs and those very specific drivers to make sure that, we had a code name for it, Imagination Station, right? Because we had to, that's where they would go kind of swag out their badge and get that on there, and how important that really was. Usually, the team, that would be one of the first things they would go set up, just to make sure everybody had that, because that is important, because we have very large personalities in the community. Yeah. And it's almost like they're, in pro wrestling, you'd call it their gimmick. That's kind of who they are, so if you put their real name, you might not know who it is. Might not know who Spice Lord is, like, oh, and I love having that moment that like, oh, wait, you're Spice Lord? And
you make yes, it was so cool to see. And you could stand at a distance and you could watch it happen, this phenomena, and spot it. And it was so rewarding. And I do need to say, anybody that would join the team or be on the SpiceWorld team, I mean, they were all like, they would come in, and the things that we would do, the level of detail and how much we would maniacally obsess about every touch point of their experience. Like, does it feel personal? They'd be like, y'all are crazy. But I'll tell you what, like once they got in and they'd be like, this is ridiculous. This is totally inefficient. We're like, yes, you are correct. And this is what we do. And then after they did it the first time, and then you experience the fruits of really going that extra mile to care that much, you would never not do it again. And then they would be the first ones the next year to be telling the new person, like, yes, that's what we do, and you're going to do it, and you're going to love it, and then it would continue.
And that's what makes it feel a little bit different when they kind of look at you like, wow, that's really happening right now, because that would never happen at any other tech conference. That's a lot of what SpiceWorld is that would never happen at any other tech conference, and that's what makes it so special for us, for everybody, for the IT pros, the vendors. I mean, it's all for the community. We all do feel that. So, and one of the big things that we've always done, right? That's kind of the tradition is the Spice World movie, right?
Movie. It's
Yes.
happening.
Well, it is happening. It is currently in progress, so I won't give any spoilers here yet, but I wanted to just kind of get a little bit into, I know we didn't talk about we're going to talk about this, but I got to talk about this. Like, where was that kind of idea from? Because that was, again, nothing that you've ever seen before, because I just happened to come in during the filming of the very first movie. So I wasn't in the first movie, but I got to kind of witness this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what is Chris and Knox doing with this? Like, where did the idea for that come from?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the simple answer, which most of you can probably tell by now, I never give. But the simple answer is, well, because we started at a movie theater, of course we would
Right.
need to. But the real answer was there were just a lot of things in the early years that I would forget because it was just me doing it. And it was like the details, the physics of the event. I would do the best I could, but it would be like like a week or so out. And then I'd be in a meeting, and it would typically be Scott Abel. I'm going to go back to him, but also Jay Hampt, Jay Hallberg and Scott, huge attention to detail, creative guys.
Yes.
You've got one with the like Harvard Business School and is like so like just all the things. And then Scott used to work for Steve Jobs, so that attention to detail, it's no joke, right? And so you'd be in a meeting, and they would say something offhandedly like, so what's on the screen? What's going to be on the screen when everybody's walking in? And then I would very quickly realize, like, didn't plan for that. Don't have an answer. And I'd be like, I will get back to you on that. I still have to figure that out. And then I would run to somebody on my team, and I'd be like, Doug Brown, you said something about doing videos on your resume when I hired you. What should we do? I trust you. And then I would show up, and I really trusted my team. So a couple of days before, I'd be like, what? So that first year was just the old school Star Wars, like rolling montage. And it was super hilarious. Like, and it was included some parody about IT pros in Spice World. And then it was just cool. Like, it was like he worked hard and got it done. But the effect, people were like, that was so cool. I can't wait to see what we do next year. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing it next year. Hey, Doug. And it's probably no surprise that after 2 years of Spice World, Doug asked to transfer over to like Tebrez's team, but he would still reel him in. But it got so big, truthfully, that is where we ended up hiring. Andy Schneider was a professional videographer, and he took that production just up to the next level. And we just saw that the delight people got out of it when we would show it. And so it was fun. But also what I want to loop it back to is we loved it. It was a lot of work, but
Oh, yeah.
whoever did it would recruit all the employees and cast them. And there would be rehearsals. And I mean, they would stay late at night, like to the point that I got there one morning really early and somebody was sleeping on my couch in my office. I mean, what's happening here? And it would just take on a life of its own. But people would have so much fun filming those. And the themes would be like James Bond. So they would have like some of our executives and say, can we borrow your car, or can we borrow your boat, or can we film this in your it was just it was so much work and so much fun. And so there was just no way that we couldn't not continue
No.
doing the movie.
No.
And so I didn't know when we left the Alamo Draft House, I thought we'd get out of it, but no, the Spice had us off the hook. And,
Yes, no.
And the employees wanted to keep doing it too. So
Absolutely, and I'll give a shout out on our YouTube page. If you go to SpiceWorld Blockbusters, you can see
Yes.
every movie that we've ever done in history. Where the Star Wars, Avengers, Zombies, James Bond, they're all there. So I will give the shout out to that. But you're right. I mean, again, as an IT
Jeff,
professional,
you were in a lot. I believe you were cast in, if you haven't seen Jeff in Carpool Karaoke, Hajiroka.
Yes.
One of my personal favorites. So good.
yeah, there was a karaoke special last year, and I sent it to Todd, and I'm like, we did it first, and he's like, I can't believe he'd forgotten all about it. But that one was a blast. That was fun. But yeah, I can't say there's many IT positions that I've had that I get to say I rode with the CEO in a helicopter over Austin.
He is not kidding. This is true.
I was like, wait, we're filming at the airport and we're getting in the helicopter? It's just crazy. Yeah. And Mario, who's, part of the team now, that was the first time I met him too. He was like on this big giant dirt hill where it was like 90 degrees and we were filming an alien invasion. And I was just like, that's kind of how it goes. But you too, I got to kind of give you a shout out here. I was going through our YouTube page before we talked, and I'm like, the very first video series at SpiceWorks was The Marketing Chick, starring you, Jen Slaski.
Yes.
And I remember when we were talking our video, you
Based
said,
on a true story.
Yeah,
Based on a true story. Some of it, not all of it. Some of it.
So, I got a surprise. So, if the audience has not seen that, we're going to roll that right now. So check it out. The Marketing Chick with Jen Slaski.
Here we go.
I don't know how much of a pause we need, Mario, on that, or none? All right, sweet. All right, Jen, there it is. Did you actually get put in that box?
My parents were so proud. My nephews, I have 3 nephews now, and I showed them the other month. Like, I wanted them, I needed some more Aunt Jenny street cred. And so I said, I was one of the first videos that was on YouTube. That might not have been true, but I knew they might not.
I think it's close.
Whatever. Did I tell you that? Well, yeah. So I showed them that, and they were like, yeah. And then they're like, wait, did they really put you in a, where did you go? How long were you in that box? Like, there were a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But thank you. My street cred did go up because I was on YouTube before you were even born.
It was definitely on YouTube before YouTube was part of Google. I mean, it was in the early YouTube days then, and it's just like it felt. I still get a kick out of that because I'm sure in a way that has to kind of hold up, right? I know marketing has changed a little bit, but does the Marketing Chick still have that vibe like that? Because that is a character, right?
I mean, does this Marketing Chick still have that vibe? Yes, absolutely. You guys, sometimes will like, when I first left SpiceWorks, I would be like, Dear Jeff from my Gmail. I looked in the community for an answer and I'm not sure. Help, I'm on my own. But I forever am in debt and love IT pros because I appreciate you all. I need you. I will always need you.
Yes, and it was always great. Like I said, it was always fun to go in your office because it was a quid pro quo when you went in the office, right? When we were helping you out, you were also helping us out in some way, shape, or form. So there was definitely some perks to helping you, for sure.
Well, I think if I may, I think that why you guys appreciate me most is immediately, I'd be like, I'm sure it's me. I don't know what happened, and it's a joke because it really still is like, there are like some like fleet of like tech gods up there that clearly get bored on a regular basis because you IT pros are taking care of everything. So they'll be like, oh, let's see what we can do to mess with Ben. And I would sit there and you guys would come in and I'd be like, did you see that? And even you guys would be like, I've never seen that before. And I was like, I don't know. This is a really, you might have to cut this out because I know I go on because I could talk about SpiceWorks stories and history and all my fond memories forever. But, it was actually during SpiceWorld, and I left work, and I had a lot of work yet to do, so I went to a local pizza shop that was my favorite, and it was very small, and it was dark, and it was quiet, and I was like, I'll go there and order some dinner and just kind of keep working, because I knew I had to get this thing done, probably related to the name badges, I have no idea, but there was something important that needed to get done, and so as I'm sitting there, my computer stops working. And it was like 9:00 and I'm like, everybody's so tired. I really don't want to bother anybody. What am I going to do? Like, I need to get this done tonight. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, and I'm not kidding. All of a sudden this voice says, excuse me, miss, do you need help with your computer? And I looked up and it was Knox. And he lived in that neighborhood. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And I was like, Knox, you're not going to believe what I actually do. So they're in the pizza shop. Knox troubleshoot. See, I don't even know the right tense or lexicon. And he saved the day, and that night got done whatever. But
that is a testament to Knox for sure. And shout out to Knox. He actually just had a baby recently. So yeah, he's still doing his thing for sure. But that if you know Knox, go back and watch the SpiceWorld Blockbuster playlist, and you will see a lot of Knox in there as well. But fast forward, 34 days away. Again, we have the very rich history. So I thought, again, it would be perfect to have Jen at SpiceWorld. So is there, like I said, you're going to be part of the closing note right before all the gifts start flying through the sky. Is there a sneak peek of what you can tell us about what you're going to be talking about on that Spice World stage?
Um,
Without be, I don't know if we put up a spoiler alert or again, I
I don't.
know the good thing about you is sometimes the stuff is going to just kind of come organically, right? The improv. So I love that. But that's
I
why I
will
thought,
probably have a computer that may shut down during it. So all of you, please be standing by and know that if it happens, I can continue talking while you troubleshoot the machine. And if it doesn't work with the slides, we'll be just fine. That's what I can. Yeah, I would say come in and be prepared to be asked about your feelings and little reflection. You look, I think that I have a lot swirling around in my right brain is where the magic seems to happen. And so when my left brain gets involved and starts to structure it, there will be a lot more organization. But the background I'll tell you is I don't know if it was last year at this point. I think it was Jeff and I happened to reconnect at a Spiceworks get together. There are just so many Spiceworks reunions, formal or informal, that continue to happen.
to
And
this
again, I
day.
think just and to every, like everybody loved working there and working and being part of the community with the vendors, with the spice heads, and just we all consider it to be just like our most epic favorite like career season ever. And everybody's always saying, how could we get the band back together and do something like that? Because it was just so magical. But during one of those, Jeff and I think were chatting, and I was making fun of myself and how I continue to be a late adopter. And I think something came up about AI. And so we started riffing, and then people get involved and always debate me and are like, well, Jen, don't you agree that AI this or that? And I just kind of stopped. I was like, you guys, how about hi? Just hi, hi, H-I, hi, like hello. I'm a human being. I like human interactions. I like human inspiration. And that's what I'm sticking with. And I think I said something like, if I ever got to come back to Spice World and give a keynote, like that would be my mic drop. That's what I would want to present on. And so fast forward, Jeff took me seriously, and then all of a sudden I have this assignment, and I thought they were kidding, and I was like, wait, really? I was like, all right, let's do this. So hi,
Yes.
stay tuned for some.
I love the idea that there's going to be 300 IT professionals in the house that are going to say hi. Say,
Hi.
and that's perfect. Yeah, and there's a lot of people very excited. Shout out to Kiki Librarian that says she's hoping she can join you, hoping you can join her at the Women in IT Fireside Chat
Oh,
during
yes.
Spice World.
Count
So
me in.
yeah, so I was like, there's no way Jen is going to say no to that invite because again, I think it's a perfect segue because again, there's a lot of phobias and weirdness when it comes to like where it is with IT and Spice. And I'm talking about not IT, AI in the entire planet, right? So, and SpiceWorks is not immune to that, right? So we have a lot of the, IT professionals and people in the community that just think it's another marketing slang. And then you people that are using it, but then there's also security issues that have to deal with it. But in the end, I think your session's really going to drive it home because behind these tools that everything is happening is the human intelligence, which is going to be around the whole thing. So I think having people talking to you, our resident spice therapist, to help themselves stay grounded in their career, that's going to help them kind of get through whatever this is turning into, right? Like the tool, we're going to be focusing on the person behind the tool and not just a tool. And you've always been great at that. I mean, we've had post Spice World sessions and we've had like lunches after the fact where, like you said, people were getting in touch with their feeling or where their heads were at. And sometimes there's a lot of laughter. People sometimes would be crying because they'd get so
Yeah.
emotional.
Yes. Yes. There will be tears. Did I mention there might be tears? There may be tears. But, no, and in all seriousness, I know that I was, a little like just quippy about it. But I am really honored because I do feel like it, you all are very kind to me, anybody that's been at SpiceWorks, and tend to give me a whole lot of credit for things that, frankly, are about just being human and being authentic and tuning into the good old-fashioned virtues of what it means to care about people and really realize what happens when good people come together. And so I am going to spend some time on my session celebrating the humanity that makes up the Spiceworks community, but even more so from my new world. Like yes, I still do corporate consulting and I work with teams and help them build rich cultures around these notions. But I am also a clinical licensed therapist now. And so I'm hoping to weave in a lot of what I've learned since I've been at Spiceworks. Because what I did at Spiceworks, that was just something that was in me, in my fabric. It's just who I am. And like I said, it was always a joke because I'm not well versed in technology and I'm not the early adopter. And I never am the first one to get the next phone upgrade. I'm just really all heart and soul. And so I think that since Spiceworks and going out and working with other companies and leaders and cultures to infuse that onto their teams and into their cultures, I also have learned a lot of the psychology and the neuroscience behind it and behind why it works. And they've just more than anything affirmed why I know that it's timeless and virtuous. And so I'd like to share a bit about that to, at the very least, send people home with kind of a like, attaboy and attagirl and keep on being human because it is what you said. It is like, yes, technology is fabulous and it is wonderful and there's so much we can do. And at the end of the day, though, without the humans alongside it and without the human spirit and soul to make the decision about doing what is veritable and true and productive with it, it doesn't serve us as people, as individuals, as teams, as companies, as a society, and all those things. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it again, and because you're right, there's power when community is involved, like especially if there's some kind of a event, whether it's an in real life event or just like the technical event. When community gets together, it's the whole together we stand, divided we fall. And SpiceWorks and the community all really feels like that. Together we stand, and whether it's the community or like you said, the unofficial, reunions, and keep your ears peeled and your eyes peeled. There might be a reunion that you might be invited to during Spice World. We're working on some stuff that as well too, but I like the idea that we can bring that to the stage and have everybody feel that moment. We recently had one unscheduled, unplanned. I went to an event in San Francisco in May, and it just happened to be there was like 6 or 7 different spice workers there, and we actually all went out of our way to meet at this booth, and we were there together for like 2 hours, all like different parts of the company, and Andrew Lamb was there and Misha was there. And we were all just, and Ted was there who just did something on the stage, and just to have everybody there together, it just feels like somehow that that residual magic or whatever it is, like you said, well, you went into the wild and studied where it was, and now you're going to bring it back to us, but you almost can't put a label on what that is. Right. So I'm excited to see you do that on the stage and help everybody have these same what we call the aha moments of just like, oh, wait, the power kind of is with us. We kind of control our careers and our destinies in a way.
Well, and I wanted to say earlier today, I popped in the community. There is a post. I just got curious. I put in there earlier this week that asked those that have been to Spice World, if you could capture it in one word or phrase, what would you say? And so it's been just really fun to see what people are coming up with. But it did hurt my heart because there was one user that said, I'd have to say distant because there's so many of us that can't go. And I've been thinking about that since this afternoon. And, I want to say to those of you that can't go for whatever reason it might be, like, really try to make an effort in the community to find other spice heads in your local area and get together. Like, have a meetup. Like, if you have a Spice Corps, if the Spice Corps are still active, like, get together and do a watch party together. And even if you don't have a Spice Corps, just reach out to a Spice worker to figure out how you can find others in your area if there's 100%. Not a regional group. You won't regret it. And even if it's like you just take a computer and you all gather around somebody's computer and sip on your drinks and eat your French fries or like whatever it is, maybe it's the morning where you're at and you all like have your cup of tea and your biscuits, like just make the effort because even that you won't regret it.
I totally agree. And we're working on some stuff in 2026 to kind of help facilitate that again, to have, because again, like you said, when 3 or more kind of gather in that with that same thing, something does happen. So I'm glad. Thank you so much for shouting that out. So that's perfect. So one more thing, Jen, before you leave, because another thing that Spice World and SpiceWorks in general is known for is swag. So today we
Oh,
actually,
the swag.
yes, it's all about the swag, and there's always
Yes.
been swag. I remember in the office, like seeing all the T-shirts of Spice World's past that were in the frames
We
that were
used to
going.
frame them like record albums.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
Jay
so.
Hallberg's idea. He's a big music buff, and the shirts were always so cool that we would, yeah,
Yeah,
commemorate them by framing them.
and I love it. So I thought it'd be perfect today to have you here to actually do the reveal of the official 2025 Spice World T-shirt. So we're
Woo,
gonna
you're
do.
showing it beforehand?
Yes,
Okay,
we are
this
gonna
was
show it
never
right
done
now.
before.
Yeah,
This is a new innovation.
yeah, we had
This
to
is
do it
very
because
exciting.
this was one of the shirts that when you saw it, all of a sudden people are like, "Yes, that's the shirt." Like it was like it felt like a slam dunk, no brainer. So here it is, the official 2025 Spice World T-shirt reveal is
Oh my
bam.
God. That is so cool.
That is right there. So we had our favorite. We found our
That
favorite
is very, very cool.
our favorite AI model. That is Jerry Generico. Jerry Generico is actually revealing that is going to be the shirt. But yeah, talk about for like human intelligence and AI, and
Wait, is that really an AI model?
we'll never say
You did that just to mess with me.
we just thought maybe we thought let's have a we took maybe 10 or 12 people and we put it in the pot, and that's what kind of came up. But the shirt itself, very fitting because the new Tron movie is coming out this
Cool.
week. So we just thought it really captured that classic technology, but it's still kind of new technologies there. And of course, SpiceRec. I don't know if SpiceRex has ever been in this form before. Have you seen it in this form before?
I have never seen SpaceX in that form.
Yeah. So
He looks good in every form, generally, that Spicer.
he
This is
does.
very, very cool.
He totally does. Is there any like what kind of goes into the swag picking? How compare? I know how it happens now, but what about back then? Like, because again, it was so scrappy back then. What went into the swag decisions behind what was going to be at Spice World or in the swag store?
Oh, it was serious business. But yeah, don't kid yourself. There was no just like, what can we get a deal on? Um, yeah, and we would do a lot of brainstorming, but with almost everything, we'd always get feedback from IT pros, even if it just meant not just, but coming down to you guys as our own IT pros if we didn't have time, because we just wanted to make sure that they were things that were cool and people would be using and loving. And that was just, again, all part of the experience is we wanted to be really, really thoughtful about it. We used to have issues with also like what we found. We knew we'd really arrived when the swag that we got, especially we used to have bags, and they were always very, very expensive. And we really would run on a lean budget for Spice World every year. That surprises people. But what I always said, or I had to learn to do, is have creativity be our currency because we didn't have a ton of money to work with like these other big companies, and we would want to keep it lean like that. But all of a sudden, the tech marketers and the vendors would be requesting bags. And it was always like a stressful thing because we wouldn't have enough. We needed to make sure the IT pros have them. But then the marketers would start getting their feathers a little ruffled because they'd be like, well, wait, these are so cool. Like, we want them. And usually at that point, most of the tech marketers have been to so many events and they're so over swag that they just don't even care. And so that's how we knew we were doing something right. But yeah, we would never reveal, never do a t-shirt reveal until the event. So this is a whole new innovation. That was very exciting. I
Yeah.
feel like I know something I should know, a secret. I'm like, oh my goodness, is that classified? Like, what's going to happen?
And I love that saying that creativity is the currency. So SpiceRex and Bruce the Shark, who played Jaws, are in the same boat, right? Because Steven Spielberg ran out, like, I don't have enough money, or the shark is not working. So creativity actually created the biggest blockbuster of all time. And I know SpiceRex now, also sharp teeth, also ferocious, but also awesome, has that same creativity is the currency, because it's not just us now, right? Our vendors, like Mike was on here. It's awesome what Eaton goes through to try to figure out what can we do to top last year, whether it's another coin or a bobblehead Mike or a bobblehead SpiceRex. I mean, some of the swags really do become collector items, right? Where if you go to Swag Lord's house and you see his SpiceWorks shelf, you're like, man, we've really had some cool stuff. So I think this shirt is going to be a nice addition to our swag history. Yeah. We're hoping.
And I want to say on that note, I mentioned this, Jeff, when we talked about the tech marketers, but I mean, I am at my core, I started out as a tech marketer. And I feel like that's what I got the best job in the world being at SpiceWorks, because I just felt like I got to have relationships with the IT pros and connect and just do things to serve and support. So I never felt like a marketer in the truest sense of the word. But something that was really and always has continued to be rewarding for me is when you see what happens to the tech marketers that get to come to SpiceWorld. Because like I said, they go to all the big shows and, you know, they kind of end up being a dime a dozen and they're very regimented. So even the tech marketers end up loving it. And you see that because they get excited at the opportunity to really get creative. And they get excited because they have really good conversations with you all.
Yeah.
Like they don't just stand there and like scan. They love that you come up really interested and excited. And so that just feeds on itself. And so they're all part of this too. And that's what I think is something that makes SpiceWorld also, that's part of the magic, is that they're right there alongside in it with all of us.
You're 100% right. That is so great. I love that feeling where all of a sudden you're here like yelping or cheering from a booth that something just happened, whether it was a booth event or a contest or something. And then you see people walking around like we've seen palm readers, and it's just like, wow, is this like, I try to tell people, it's like, is this like Comic-Con? Because there's just so much stuff. But it is, again, still important to your career. It's just like, it really, in its own way, it's humanizing your career, whether it's through humor or entertainment. SpiceWorld has really always done that so well, and that came from a lot of those early scrappy days, you know, where, you know, the late hours. So we do thank you. I know, again, you're humble with the credit, but those early days have really raised the bar, but gave us a very clear path on what we have to do. Because in the end, without the SpiceWorks community, including the IT pros and the vendors and our other tech friends, there's no company, right? It doesn't exist. So thank you for, you know, showing people that early, and we are continuing to light that flame.
Keep on
keeping on.
And keep on. And I can't wait to be there and be a part of it. So thanks for.
Yes, thank you. We will see you next month at SpiceWorks. And thank you guys for joining us today. So tag if you have anything to share with Jen. She is in our community as the SpiceTherapist, and she will be looking for your comments, and look for her post. Maybe you will be part of her session. Who knows? But again, like I said, we're going to be here every Friday until SpiceWorld time to get you hyped for the big event. So until next Friday, don't forget to tech yourself before you wreck yourself, and we'll see you next week.